Okay. Are you guys just testing to see if you can see me? Is that what we're doing? We're testing right now for anybody who's watching me live. We should have worked out these kinks last night, apparently.
I got her.
Tap to invite a viewer.
Melody, can you see me?
No.
We're talking right now.
Yeah, no. I can see, okay, I can see a little, go live with Ariyl, and then it says invite.
Yeah, that's good. I can join.
It's saying
I'm
adding.
on.
Okay.
Oh, crap. You know what, though?
Okay, hang on. I need my.
Go on my page on Facebook and make sure my friends.
Yes, do that. And why? Can you hear me?
And then when you
Can
try
you
it,
hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Hold on, Melody. Hold on, honey.
Are you looking for Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, just tell me you want a Facebook.
Get to my page, please.
Are you seeing if you can see? I should have Mike see if he can see me too. Right?
There we go. There we go.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can he see both of us on individual pages?
Yes, he can see us. Philip, write a comment on my page because I'm not being able to see comments. Are you, Melody?
Yeah, actually I can. Well, it's just telling me people are watching, and Karen just said yes. Philip
Okay.
just
Okay, so I can't see the comments, Mel. So you're going to
read them to you. Read them out loud to you. Okay.
Actually, I can use your phone, right? Okay.
Oh yeah, could you read the comments on his phone? Like
No,
through the news?
I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
We finally got it worked out. We should have worked on it yesterday. I know.
We should have tested it yesterday. Our bad.
Yeah. This is Melody Post. We have been friends since we were what, 15?
Yep. Yep, that's when I joined when I was 15. And I think you were 15 too.
Mm-hmm. I joined in on Tabernacles of 89.
And I was Passover of 89.
Okay.
So we were just a couple feasts apart.
Right. So we've known each other since we were 15. We were married a feast apart, young. We had our first babies are 9 days apart.
Yep.
I mean, we basically went through everything together.
We did. Yes.
Okay. So what brought you to the House of Yahweh?
My dad is the one who found the House of Yahweh and basically convinced us to go as a family. Now, he did go himself first, not during a feast, during that February before that first feast of Passover. He went down by himself and came back with more booklets and a list of words we apparently weren't allowed to say. It's like, oh, you guys want to see all these words we're not allowed to say, which was very hard to learn. You had to reteach yourself to talk. You're not allowed to say good. You're not allowed to say happy. You're not allowed to say happen. You're not allowed to say pan. You're not allowed to say favor. You're not allowed to say cereal.
Right.
So you have to change your whole vocabulary. And in some instances, it makes you sound like a complete idiot who does not know how to talk.
1000% agree with you. So when you first went there, what was it like for you? I mean, what was the first let's say first 3 rounds of feast, tabernacles, Passover, Pentecost, however they went for you.
First impression, probably like all cults, was all good. Nothing negative. It was all, the love bombing and feeling very accepted, feeling special, feeling part of a group, and all the negative stuff when you first arrive is very hidden. It's underneath all the layers, and only the people in those inside layers know what's really going on. The new people don't see what's going on until they've been there for a while, and they start hearing the little rumors and finding out slowly but surely what's really going on. But it's a process. And in the beginning, they love them.
Yes, I 1000% am with you on that. So, what did you have any boyfriends there, Melody?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did. I had I was dating one boy very briefly, but then I ended up getting into a relationship with the son of Israel Hawkins, Justin Hawkins, and go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And within very short order of being his girlfriend, I was engaged to him by the time I was 16, or betrothed, as they called it, betrothed to him, which meant even if I didn't marry him, I wasn't allowed to marry anybody else because I was now basically his property. And even if I changed my mind and decided I didn't want to marry him at this point, then I could never marry anybody else. So, and there were points between the age of 16 and 18 where I did have my doubts as to whether or not I should marry him, but I felt like I didn't have any choice. Otherwise, I would spend the rest of my life single. And I didn't feel that was an option because I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to have children. And so I felt a little trapped.
Did you willingly want to marry Justin? Were you coerced? Did anybody force you into it?
No, that was very willingly. I think the more of coercive type marriages or forced marriages is something that probably happened a lot more after I left, with younger girls being forced to marry older men. Justin was actually younger than me, not older than me. He was just a couple months, or about 8 months or something younger than me. So, so there wasn't. I felt the only pressure I felt was basically that at that point, after becoming betrothed, my only choice was to either marry him or stay single for the rest of my life. And to me, that just wasn't an option, to stay single for the rest of my life. I didn't think that was a viable option. So in that aspect, I did feel pressured.
So let me ask you this. If you would have broken off the betrothal, you could not have remarried, but could have Justin.
I'm not really sure what they taught at that point in time. I honestly don't know the full answer to that. I know certainly what they teach now is that, yes, because he can have multiple wives, and I would essentially be betrothed to him for life, and he could still marry other women according to their current teachings. And honestly, do you know the answer to that? When I was there, if I had broken off that betrothal, would he have been able to choose to marry somebody else?
Yes, he could have. It actually took place. I don't want to say the names because they were innocent bystanders.
Right.
There was somebody who was married or betrothed to somebody, a female betrothed to a male. She called it off, and he married somebody else. That was actually one of my bridesmaids that we barely knew.
Okay. And so basically, he's allowed to move on, but she's obligated to him for eternity. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So
that's convenient.
So are there any questions? Anybody saying anything?
Nope. Everybody, it's just telling me who's watching. Some people that I'm friends with, a couple of our mutual friends, but nobody is actually asking any questions right now. So
okay.
So I was engaged by 16. Oh, go ahead.
So I'm just going to let you, if you want to, talk about that summer or your wedding or kind of overall your marriage,
Okay.
but up until the point when you decided I'm done.
Okay. I joined when I was 15 in 1989 with my family. I was engaged by the time I was 16, married by the time I was 18, had a baby by the time I was 19. Very, very, very fast progress for somebody between the ages of 15 and 20. I left at 20 because that is when they started teaching multiple marriage. And I had made the decision that I didn't agree with the multiple marriage. And that teaching basically came out and was being taught when my father-in-law, who was Israel Hawkins, it came out that he had been having a long-term affair with his wife, or with his, secretary on his wife. And when it came out, he basically said, I never sinned. I would never sin because it's not a sin. I'm not cheating. She's just another wife. When I married Justin, were there a lot of influences in your marriage from Israel? Influences for the marriage, influences from Israel. I'm not sure if you're asking if he had a lot of influence on our life in general, or if he influenced the marriage itself. I know that when I did become engaged to him, or maybe it was just before we became betrothed, Israel did call me into his office and asked me some questions that I now can read a lot more into him and find very suspicious. He asked me where I preferred to work. Did I prefer to work out on the farm with Justin, or would I prefer to work in town in the office with him? And I hesitated for a moment, and I thought, and I just said, well, if you're giving me the choice, I would prefer to work out on the farm with Justin. And he really didn't give me any response, or really didn't say anything to me. But Justin later told me that his dad told me that he could have searched the world around and he couldn't have found a better woman than me. In hindsight, I think that was a test, because I think his ego had him believing or suspecting that maybe I was just marrying Justin to get close to him because I thought he was so wonderful. And because I think he's that narcissistic and egotistical that he believed that.
I'll go with part B. That he's that narcissistic. I'll go with that.
Yes, I would venture to believe that as well. And I think that as far as his influence in our marriage after we were married, my dad warned me that when I got married and I moved down there, that he would try to control our lives. And I was like, oh, Dad, you're crazy. We'll be 18. We'll be married. We'll be adults. He won't try to control our life. He can't control our life when we're grown-ups. And sure enough, it started very shortly after moving down there that he called us into his office and said, I saw your lights on after 10 o'clock. And I'm like, well, so? And he's like, you get your pay is being docked by $5 a week, $5, and every night that I see your lights on after 10 p.m., you will get $5 docked off your paycheck. Mind you, Justin and I both worked 40-hour weeks. We received one paycheck between the two of us, and it was $120. So we each received $60 a week. You do the math and figure out what that is per hour, but it's very minimal. And
well, hold on. That is
okay.
That is funny, because let me tell you why. First of all, when you said we're gonna be 18, how's Yisrael gonna get into our marriage? Well, Yedidia wasn't even blood, and Yisrael was in our marriage within the first week. But
yeah,
Yedidia,
that's not surprising.
Yedidia made $120 a week, and I made $40 a week for 40 hours.
You made more than us.
We made more than us. A total of $160.
You made $40 a week more than us. And now I'm jealous. $40 goes a long way back in that day, girlfriend.
I'm telling you.
When you're that poor, $40 is a lot.
Do you remember we always got paid on Thursdays? I'm sorry guys, sorry guys. I just brought up this memory. On Thursdays we'd go to Taco Bueno for the 49-cent tacos. We were so excited.
Yep. But that's pretty much all we could afford. Sometimes we'd go to that little pizza place. I can't remember the name of that pizza place, and we get little pan pizza. Pizza Inn, and we'd get little pan pizzas that were also really cheap, but I can't remember the price. Don't ask me.
Yeah.
Maybe $1.99. Maybe $1.99, which was probably a little pricier than the tacos.
Okay. So you're with Justin. He's, your amount of pay. He's controlling you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you guys have family dinners? Did you know?
We had every Sabbath we had dinner at the farmhouse with Israel and Kay, and the whole family would be there. Yeah. That was a weekly ritual. And actually at that point in time, it was the only time he was spending with his wife. He would show up on Friday afternoons, spend Friday nights with her, and Saturday nights. She got 2 nights a week with her husband, and that was it. The rest of the time he slept in town and was probably messing around. And I don't think she knew it at the time. I think she wanted to believe that he was just busy working, doing the work of the House of Yahweh and doing the right thing. So hang on, somebody else asked a question here. Let me read this.
Okay.
Okay. Ariyl, you were in a multiple, and I know from my personal experience that I would have been pissed since I did not share very well. Was it a decision that was made together, or were you just told this was going to happen? And okay, or was it, or were you just told it was going to happen?
You remember that day, Mel?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know. You know my feelings on that.
So when I tell you guys that Melody and I, did everything together. I mean, we did we were always together. We're best friends. Was it a decision we made together? Absolutely not. When I found out that it was taking place, my heart broke. Was I mad? Bad's not even a word. I was pissed beyond belief. I was pregnant with Sarah Beth. I was pregnant with Sarah Beth when we got the hint of it, if I remember correctly. And when I went, because Sarah Beth's because my pregnancy with her was so bad, my parents took me back to Kansas for 6 weeks. And that's when I came home and found the underwear on the couch. I don't know to this day if they were hers or not, but that's when, I'm not going to say who, but somebody called me while I was in Kansas and said, he is seeing so-and-so and such and such. And I'm not going to say that name. I'm not going to say that name of who it was. And I was mad. I was 2 months and having Sarah Beth. Who was this? Maya. I was 2 months and having Sarah Beth, and I pulled up into her house, a emergency cesarean section. So I had a scar. My baby was in the car. I jumped out of the car and I threatened to fight her right there in the front yard. That is when Yedidia jumped out of her dwelling where she was staying in his whitey tighties going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And there you go. So no, it was never a decision for any of his wives. It was never a choice. It was never anything. It was a struggle. It was a battle. I mean,
no, I saw it coming. If you recall, I saw it coming, and she was very clearly and blatantly flirting with him before that, and I felt very protective of you as a friend, and I could see what was coming, and I wanted to try to stop it, but women are powerless to stop anything that's going on in there. Even at that point in time, when we didn't realize how powerless we were at that point, and women have slowly lost more and more power, or even really any ability to think or make any decisions for themselves. Even now, it's even worse. At that time, it was a lot more subtle. We didn't realize it.
Yeah. So, okay, Melody, where were you? Go on.
Well, I did leave basically based on the multiple marriage teaching when when I saw how crushed my mother-in-law was, I saw her grieving this loss. I worked with her in the farmhouse at that time and could hear the grieving in her crying on almost a daily basis. And I told Justin, I'm like, all I know is that as far as I'm concerned, no creator would want to put anybody through the kind of pain I'm watching your mom go through. And this can't be right. This can't be right. This isn't love. This is causing pain and grief, and it's horrible watching your mom go through this. And he essentially came to a similar decision at that point. And there was a lot of conflict, because when you are in something like that and you believe something like that, you believe it with all your heart at the time, and you have this inner conflict of, oh, is it really wrong, or am I falling away? Am I in the process of falling away? Am I just not being obedient? Okay, somebody else asked a question here, Megan. I started in 1985 and I left in 2008. It got worse after you guys left. I'm sorry that everybody had to go through what they did on the whims of a man. Absolutely. Me too. Me too. Because I went from being told that he could have searched the world, Justin could have searched the world around and not found a better woman to me, to being called the bitchiest bitch on the pulpit when I started speaking out that I didn't agree with the multiple marriage teaching.
Right.
And that was devastating to me at the time.
So did Justin change the way that he perceived you or looked at you, or was he pretty much on your side of, I know that they're saying that I'm the head and that, slavery and multiple marriage and all of that?
Okay, all of the examples of multiple wives in the Torah are bad. They had enormous jealousy. Oh yeah, absolutely. How could you not? How could you not have jealousy? I agreed 100%. I'm sorry, would you repeat your question, Autumn?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to call her Autumn. That's what I call her. I know she's Ariyl on Facebook, but to me, she's Autumn, and she'll always be Autumn.
And they all understand that. So, how was Justin towards you when all this was coming out? Was he going to get a wife? Was he saying, I'm your head? Did he become controlling?
He fluctuated like me. At first, he could see his mom's pain, and he would be like, you're right, this doesn't seem right. And then he would be like, well, maybe we have to accept this. Maybe this is just the way it is. And then he would start asking me questions like, well, if we did take on a second wife, who would you want it to be? Because I would want you to be part of that process. And then I thought of the sweetest, nicest girl I could think of, which you know who she is, and said she would be the only person I would consider. And he immediately said, well, let's start courting her next feast. Oh, well, that reality slapped me right in the face, because I thought we were all doing like this wasn't for real life. This was just a theoretical thing, if I were to take a second wife. Then I realized that he was obviously seriously considering it.
Right. On his what was it, $60?
Yeah, and mind you, this conversation was happening when I was 8 to 9 months pregnant, had gained 50 some pounds in my pregnancy, already felt unattractive and like I was losing my youth because I'm big as a balloon now. And now he's saying, oh, I'm going to take this young pretty thing as my new wife. And I could already see myself being kicked to the curb, even though it hadn't happened. I could project that that's where that was going to lead.
Right. So at any point, did Yisrael flip a script, flip his thoughts on you? Did he become mean to you? Did he stop just coming around? I mean, how did that well, I'm trying to get to the point to where when it was the massive falling away, you remember the massive falling away?
Yes. I was a big part of it. I ultimately got excommunicated.
Yes.
There were multiple things that took place.
You were part of it.
Say that again?
And the whole reason why I bring it up is because you were part of it.
Yes, I was part of the falling away. I was part of the what they called the massive falling away. I think in hindsight, at the time, I didn't think this was significant. but in hindsight, I think it was significant. There was a time that Justin had left the house, and it became fairly late at night. It was like 9 o'clock at night. Now, mind you, I was a young girl. I was 18. I was pregnant. I didn't like being home alone at night. I was scared. And so I called Kay and said, I don't know where Justin is, and I don't know when he's going to be home, and I'm worried about him. And she said, well, let me call Israel and see if I can find out what's going on. So she calls Israel, and I ended up getting a call. It was not from Israel. And honestly, I would like to say I remember who called me. I don't remember who called me, but somebody called me with a message from Israel to tell me that I had no right to ask where my husband was or when he would be home, and that I was overstepping my bounds as a wife to even consider asking that question. And I think, and instead of submitting, I got pissed. I was like, since when do I, as his wife, not have a right to know where my husband is or when he's coming home? What the hell kind of answer is that? So I called Kay and I told her that I was upset about this and I didn't think it was right. And I think Israel probably heard back my reaction to it, and he realized he had lost some element of control over me at that point. And I think I then switched from being his family to his enemy because I wasn't blindly submitting to whatever he was saying. I think that was a turning point in his mind for how he viewed me. And also a turning point for how I viewed him.
Right.
So and from there it progressed.
At any point, did he cut you guys off from money or cut you off from anything, take anything away?
Oh, that was during a time when we had gotten into an accident. He had provided us with a truck when we first got married. And he told us that if we worked for 2 years for him, that we would pay that truck off. Maybe that was part of the reason that we didn't get that extra $40. Maybe that was our truck payment. Just saying, I don't know, maybe. So we were supposed to work for 2 years to pay off this truck. And then he would put the truck in our name and it would be our truck. 1 month before this truck is supposed to be put in our name, it's in an accident and it gets totaled. Well, at that point, Justin had tried to contact his dad multiple times to ask him when this check was going to come in from the insurance company to cover the truck so that we could get a new vehicle. Well, it became pretty evident after a period of time that we were never going to see any money for this truck. And it didn't matter that we had worked 2 years to pay for it. He had decided that we were the enemy at this point and we weren't going to get anything from him. And our name wasn't on anything, so we had no proof of anything. Well, Kay basically said, that's not going to happen. You guys need a vehicle, and I'm going to make sure you get one. So she went and took a cash advance on a credit card in his name and went and bought us a car. Well, in the process of doing this, the rumor had started to spread that we had stole money from the organization. Apparently, we had stolen exactly $44,000. So when this rumor is going around, we have no idea this rumor is going around. You're the one who told me that rumor was going around ultimately. But we show up in this new car. I mean, it wasn't brand new, but it was new to us. To a baseball game, because we were still allowed to play baseball at that time. And everybody's giving us the stink eye. I didn't know why. I could feel a cold shoulder. I could feel a sense that something wasn't right, but I didn't know what it was. And ultimately, it ended up being that everybody believed the reason we had the money to buy this car is because we stole money from the church. And I didn't know that until you had said something to me probably a few days after that. I went to your house with Eric. I remember it pretty well. And the babies were playing on the floor. Eric and Sarah were playing on the floor. And you said, where'd you get the money to buy that car? And I'm like, why? And you're like, because rumor has it you guys stole $44,000 from the House of Yahweh. I'm like, what? I'm like, wow, that explains a lot.
I remember that conversation. I'm going to tell you why. Because my thoughts were, I'm not going to say what my beginning of that. I was like, Mel, if you got $44,000, you better float some my way, because you see how I'm living. Is why I asked, if you want me to be real honest.
Seriously, if I had $44,000 at that point, we were ready to run. If we had $44,000, we would have already been in Michigan. It was shortly after that, or right around that time, that I had decided I wasn't staying in Texas anymore. And I told Justin, listen, my parents are getting my family together, and they're putting together a bunch of money to get a U-Haul truck. I and Eric are moving back to Michigan. I said, you're welcome to join us if you want, but I'm leaving either way. And I think he was looking for an out. I think he was looking for an escape at that point too. Not only from the House of Yahweh, but from just his dysfunctional, abusive family situation in general. And I think he was looking to escape. And he didn't hesitate to say, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Of course, shortly after that, we did end up divorcing, and that was, complicated and unfortunate, but when you marry under the circumstances of being in a cult, you both marry versions of who you believe the other one is, because you're each playing a part of who you think the cult wants you to be, and you're not really being who you are. And they're with somebody when you marry them, because you're not meeting the real them and they're not meeting the real you. You're meeting cult brainwashed versions of each other. And of course, anybody who's in the organization is going to seem like they're compatible, because the only thing that at that point in time that really needs to be compatible is you both believe in the cult. You both believe in the teachings.
Right. So when you saw that Yisrael had posted, that hold on, let me see what time it is. When you had seen that Yisrael had posted the free meals, he was going to pay for the transportation and all of that, what was your first initial thought?
That's extremely suspicious behavior and not typical of anything the House of Yahweh would do. I didn't know, I had no idea what pigweed was. Some people on the group where it was posted did post some links to exactly what it is. I have since done a little bit of research myself and trying to see what, and there's very conflicting information out there about pigweed. I could see why they might choose that, because there are some sources that say it's a very healthy weed full of antioxidants, and there are some sources that say it's full of toxins and it can kill you. Ultimately, from what I've read and researched, if your body is acclimated to it and you introduce it slowly, your body can tolerate it and it's not toxic to your system. But if you eat this pigweed without your body being tolerant of it, that you are going to have toxic reactions, and it can build up in your kidneys. It can cause respiratory issues. It can cause heart issues, and ultimately it can kill you.
So with you saying that, then you heard that Shaul died. Paul, let's call him Paul.
Yes.
That would irritate him. And I would really like to irritate him. Anyway, remember we said you would be the nice one, I would be the petty one. So when you heard that he died and then read about this pigweed, what did you think coinciding? Well, I mean, what did you even think?
My initial thought was they killed him. I don't know that they were targeting him. My guess is that maybe he was older and already a little bit unhealthy. Maybe he wasn't drinking enough water to filter the toxins out of his body. I don't know why he was unable to tolerate. Maybe he got a bigger portion of the actual part of the plant that's more poisonous. I don't really know. Why Shaul died and other people didn't from eating the same. What I want to know, here's what I really want to know. Is Israel taking a portion of this shit? That's what I want to know. Is he eating his portion?
No, because he is Yahweh. He does not want to. Patty.
No, I figured he wasn't, But I thought it was a legitimate question that popped in my head earlier today, actually.
And you know, it
But
is
I
a
pretty
legitimate
much thought I
question.
already knew the answer. I was pretty sure he is not eating it. And
I
for
don't
anybody
know
who
for a
doesn't
fact.
know what we're talking about, the House of Yahweh currently is teaching or telling their congregation to come down to the church in Abilene and to partake of 2 days of eating crickets and pigweed, and that if you can't afford transportation, they will pay for transportation for you. The only other thing, and I thought long and hard about this, the only other thing that they ever give away that's free is their booklets and propaganda. Only the booklets, though. If it's the Book of Yahweh, you have to pay for it. But their propaganda is the only other thing they give away for free. And that's because it gains them followers, it gains them money. Hang on, somebody else asked a question here. Mine was Jim Jones for them to pay for anything for a big red flag. Oh, hang on. The mitochondriotoxicity actually attracts heart tissue. Attacks heart tissue. And he doesn't take anything. Oh, he doesn't take anything. Basically, he doesn't eat it. And then Karina said, I heard most of the time that he tells the congregation to do something like cleanses and that he does not do it himself. Yeah, well,
Surprise, surprise.
Hello, ladies. Has anyone reported this behavior to authorities or the press? Yes, I know that Kifa and Karina have tried to call authorities. They have called multiple authorities, FBI, I think Texas Rangers, CIA, and nobody's interested. Why? I'm sure because basically these people are doing this of their own free will.
Yeah.
They can't take away somebody's right to eat crickets and pigweed if they want to. Even if it's potentially toxic, if somebody wants to do that, that's their right.
So, Melody,
and no laws have been broken at this point. So how can they legally do anything?
So, Melody, here's a question I'm often asked that I'm going to ask you. Why did you stay for so long?
Okay, hang on. I'm going to read these other questions, but I will keep that question in mind. So why are they told to go there and eat it for? Oh, they're told it somehow. What is his exact wording? Do you remember, Autumn? Something about it making them holy. This is how, basically, if they
it's vital to life. It's a vital test to life.
Vital test to life. Yes. I don't know if they're being told it will protect them against the coronavirus or it will ensure them a spot in 144,000, the chosen people. Maybe a combination of both of those things. Who knows? Who knows what they're actually being told? But I'm sure they're not being told that there are potential harmful side effects of taking this.
And yes, Shirley, a lot of people have commented that it's like Jim Jones. We agree.
Oh, yeah. It's otherwise only for the brainwashing. What was the reason that he wants everyone to eat it? Okay, I already answered that. Seems like Jim Jones' situation. A vital test. Yes, a vital test. Otherwise, conditioning for final deed. Well, it seems that way. It seems, my initial reaction was it seems very, very suspicious and concerning to me. And the other thing that I recently found out that went with it, and I just found this out yesterday, something with the law that has never been done before. Absolutely, exactly. The law doesn't know how to handle a situation like this. There hasn't been any laws broken, so how can they go in there and try to stop something when no laws have been broken?
I mean, it's basically like Waco. I watched that documentary on, well, it was a series on Netflix. And I mean, I remember that time 1000%. He, you know, wasn't really doing anything wrong. Those people were there of their own free will. You know, so what could they do? I mean, CPS could go in and, or they call it CPS there. It's called defects here for people on my page watching. Could go in. They had to have cause to take the children. I mean, some of the men that was in Waco's were lawyers, was a judge, was a police officer. I mean, Melody, it's not like people in the House of Yahweh that you and I dealt with were idiots, because they weren't. I mean, we had doctors, we had lawyers, my dad was a police officer. Your dad owned his own business. I mean, You know,
No,
we had
it's
retired military. We had Orland was a Marine.
yep. Yep.
Oh, look at the
Exactly.
Taylor from Canada.
Oh yeah,
So,
exactly. Okay. Now that they have someone on the side of the law, a lot of things will be swept away and they will get away with more. Yes.
now,
Yes, they have a current member.
can we verify though that Stubbs made it onto the police department?
I don't know, but they are, I know they're at least currently in the process of trying to get one of their members to be in law enforcement, to be, I think it's a sheriff, is that correct? A sheriff?
Sheriff's deputy.
A sheriff's deputy in the county that the organization resides in. Hang on, there's another. YH said that they are performing a law that has never been done by, I guess, eating 2 of these meals with the grasshoppers and herbs. Performing a law that has never been done. Well, why hasn't it been done before? Because aren't you supposed to be following the 613 laws 24/7? That's what I'd like to know. Orland was actually a Marine Security Force company. There we go. No,
So,
it's all educated people who this is the thing. Have you ever watched any of Rick Ross's testimonies about being in a cult? Do you know he's a cult expert? And one of the things I heard him say on one of the shows was he said that anybody who thinks they're not vulnerable to getting sucked into a cult, that's the #1 sign that you're vulnerable to getting sucked into a cult. If you think you're impervious to it, that makes you more vulnerable to it.
yeah. It just, here's the thing. You and I were talking last night as we were talking about doing this. I guess the very scary part is I don't want to point out names beside Yisrael's.
Right.
I don't want to point out names or point out people's faults, like the other wives that you had. I don't ever want to say their names. They were essentially taken in by all of it.
Oh yeah, they were victims in their own right.
Yes.
I absolutely.
But oh my God, but so I literally just lost my point trying to defend.
Well, I'll go back to what I was saying just a minute ago, was that the other thing that's very alarming to me that I only found out recently from you was that apparently they are also saying that they're not currently taking any new members.
And Deb told me that.
Who told you that?
Deb.
Okay. Well, if that is true, I suspect the reason would be is because they don't have time. If they've got a plan for some type of mass suicide situation, they don't have time to indoctrinate new members fast enough to get them to agree to this bullshit. And that would be the only reason I could think of no new members.
Well, the other thing that I thought of was not mass suicide, but I thought of, from my understanding, Yisrael's lost his lid. And they're having to shut him down and stuff. So I'm wondering if they're trying to keep the people they have under control so that when he does go, whoever takes over, it's not this, Yisrael's dead, and then a mass money leaving. I don't call it a mass people leaving. I call it a mass money leaving. That way they can secure the money they have now.
Absolutely. Here's another comment. Also, they don't want a person that could possibly be a plant from the government. Oh, I didn't even think of that, but that's actually very probable as well. I had not thought of that as a possibility, but that makes absolute sense.
Well, that makes absolute sense because Deb is talking, Keith is talking. How many other people have started talking out and stuff? They're probably thinking, okay, people are going to start listening because how paranoid, you and I both know how paranoid Yisrael can be.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he always tries to take 2 steps ahead. So that's a very good point, Eileen.
Yeah. No, I could see it too. I could see that being there may be multiple reasons. There may be multiple reasons, and that would make a lot of sense too, that they are afraid that somebody's going to be sent in there to try to see what's going on.
Right. But my whole thing is my fear. This is my fear, and I'm praying that we are wrong because I hate that word suicide. I hate that people are throwing it out there. My fear is that what if that's true? I've got a brother there. You by marriage have a sister there. I mean, how many
Right.
people in our core group? We've got Christy. Anybody out there listening know if Linda Heimerman is still in the House of Yahweh? Anybody know?
I don't know. We
We've
were
got,
discussing it. I thought she was out, but I could be wrong.
yeah, we got her little sister Laura. We've got Jenny Stens. We've got Kevin. Oh, Gatan. I thought of Gatan. He was in our
Yes.
group.
Oh,
You
yes,
know?
absolutely. Yep.
And yes, she is. Linda is still in there, Mel. I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that's basically me, you, Carrie, out of our group.
Well, Karina's out. There's a lot of people out. As far as
Yeah.
you talking about who's out?
No. I'm talking about our core group that, you know, it was Jenny, Linda, me, you,
Right.
Jeff, Carrie, Kalani. Oh, Kalani's out. I forgot about him.
Karina, Ella, Kalani,
Yeah.
Tony.
I think the step below us, which would be Karina, Ella, and Rachel and all of them, I think
Right.
most of their group is gone. But I'm scared for them that they're there. I
Karina
just
said she heard her husband and kids had left. Her husband and kids had left, and Matt is married to a Heimerman, as far as I know.
She's
I
married
have
to
no
Laura
idea.
Heimerman. He's married to Laura Heimerman.
Okay.
But I don't think we need to broadcast this out because we're going to make it public. Who's married to who? I heard her husband and kids have left. Well, then Linda, are you talking about Linda, Karina?
I think so. I think she was referring to Linda.
And Yileen's estranged husband is still there. I mean, I read Yileen's comment where she was begging her husband to come home and that she still
Oh, I
loves
know.
him.
I know. That was very sweet.
Yeah, so Linda's basically in there by herself. You know.
That's
so
sad.
Is there anybody in there, Mel, that you would personally, if they happen to see this, because we're going to put it public, is there anybody that you personally would like to say something to? And you don't have to say their name because they'll know you, or you can.
There's multiple people that I'm going to get choked up if I go too far, but because it's hard, because you do develop a very close bond with people when you're there. And even though, because we know what it's like to be there and be deceived and believe you're there for the right reasons. And most of these people are there for the right reasons. They're good people, and they're there for what they believe are the right reasons. And they don't see the truth behind what they're doing at this point in time. And a lot of them maybe feel trapped and feel like they have no other options. And I guess I would say to any of them who know me and who I've known in the past, or even somebody I don't know, I don't care. If you reach out to us, we will do what we can to try to help. We will help you find resources. We will help you get skills, gain jobs, find a way to get an education or a skill of some sort, or a place to live. We will do everything we can to try to help, because we know what it's like to come out and struggle, and we know it's going to be a struggle, because you have to deal with so much mental and emotional trauma when you leave, and dealing with that reality and going back and forth between what's real and what's been taught or how you've been brainwashed is a very hard emotional struggle. And even for me, and I should get back to your question about why I stayed as long as I did. Even for me, because I stayed a fairly short amount of time to a lot of the people that I know, including you. I was there for a total of 5 years. I was there from 1989 to 1994. It was 5 years, but it was very influential years, I guess I should say. It was between the ages of 15 and 20, and a lot happened to me during this time. A lot of change happened in my life that affects me still today, that you can't go back and make different choices and decisions. You can't go back and not get married. You can't go back and not have a baby at 19. You can't do those things. Not that I don't love my son, I do. But it does change your life, and it makes you grow up fast, and it changes who you are.
And And here's the thing that I really want to emphasize. If anybody, and my prayer by doing this and my prayer by speaking out is, I want, if we can rescue one person for somebody whose ever family they belong to, then, you know, I'm not going to lie. I want there to be at
Then
least
it's worth it.
Bill. Yeah, I want Bill to be one of them. But, you know,
That's okay.
yeah. But here's one thing, Mel, and I'm going to say it and see if you agree with me. There is no need to feel shame or guilt. And I'm going to say something that's going to throw a lot of people off, but I was thinking about this last night, and I'm just going to say it. Even if Tana Sheets decided she wanted to leave, or she feels trapped, or they are holding her there because something is over her head or whatever, we can speculate a million different things. But honestly, in truth, everybody that's watching or everybody that will watch can either say, I hurt them in some way, or that you hurt them in some way, or they hurt us in some way, because they were doing what they thought was right. There's no reason to feel guilt or shame. Just come out. Start your life. Go back to those that have missed you for so long. Don't carry that guilt and shame that an abuser puts on an abusee. It's not yours to carry. Let it go. You're not going to be judged.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I think as much as we hold some animosity for people who we thought did things in a negative way to us when they were there, I think that when they actually, if they actually were to come out, the truth is we all understand that we all did things that weren't really in our true character when we were there, because we believed we were doing the right thing at the time. And how can you hold somebody accountable for doing something? Do you remember that overly confident, overly righteous feeling we had when we were there, because we were taught we were special? We knew above everybody else, and we became arrogant ourselves in believing we were special, and we did know above what everybody else believed, and we believed it at the time, and we would treat people like, when we would talk to people, outsiders, for example, and talk to them about what our beliefs were compared to their beliefs, we would talk down to them like we knew they were wrong and we were right. And then when you come out and you realize you didn't know everything that you thought you knew, you question everything. You question everyone.
Exactly. And here's the thing, Melody. Here's the thing. Since I've been coming out and talking, there are people that were there while I was there and are like, I had no idea you went through that. I had no clue you went through that. I always thought life was grand. Well, it goes back to the fact of the matter that we were secret keepers. Each and every one of us were secret keepers. You don't know what went behind closed doors. So, here, I'm going to, Nicole, well, Tara says, what you guys are doing is amazing. There's strength and support out there for people that feel stuck. Nicole, I'll read this one for you, Mel. Okay. I message my sister regularly to make sure she knows my door is always open and that I love her. She doesn't respond anymore, but I know she reads them. I can only hope she reaches out. Karina said, and why this is so meaning to you, if you don't mind, I'm going to tell.
It's okay.
Bettina is Nicole's sister. Melody's mom, Sandy, and Nick got married, and they became
outside of the House of Yahweh. They met in the House of Yahweh. They both left and married outside of the House of Yahweh. So they're both ex-members.
Yeah, and Bettina and her children and Gatan are still in there, and that affects both Nicole and Melody very much, because I'm going to share this, Mel. Last night, Melody was just like, she's my sister. She's my sister, and I want to get to know her. And then Karina says, love Karina, if she sincerely apologizes, I would forgive her, talking about Tana Sheets. Poor Tana. Tana, if you were watching this, I'm going to tell you right now, yes, I was the president of your hate club, but I love you. You will not be judged. You have a way. I'll speak for your son, Brandon. He'll open the door for you. You've got your brother, Joey. Brandon, you can, side comment me later. Shirley DeMello said, amen, most likely to what you were saying, Mel. Reach out in any way, shape, or form or fashion. They can't come out without taking a step to reach out. Taking that step to reach out. So that's right. I mean, I said yesterday, you could on Messenger, I've been my Messenger, I've set it up to where I can receive any message. It'll notify me no matter what. Just send me a heart and I'll go, okay. And then I'll start, I call you, I call Karina, I can call whoever and be like, do you guys know these people? Because they are in need of help,
Yeah.
But Melody, I would like to thank you so much. We did an hour instead of 40 minutes.
Well, we did spend a few minutes trying to figure it out too.
Yes, we did. We'll know better for next time, or we'll upgrade this process.
Yes.
I would like to thank you very much for getting on here, because yours is a story many, many, many people wanted to know. I'm very thankful that you were there with me through my experiences. I'm very thankful that you're still in my life. And if anybody has any further questions or comments or anything like that, I mean, just reach out. And, do you have anything you want to say, Mel?
I guess I'll end with saying that, I certainly appreciate you and your friendship throughout the years as well. And that anybody who's listening that's still there, that thinks there's no way out and that there's no hope, believe me, there's hope. People that have been in there for years, sometimes 30 years, get out and they find a way. They find a way. And we are here to help support you in whatever way we can, whether that's emotionally. And we all understand that it's going to be hard, and we will be there for you to help you, support you. If you need a shoulder to cry on or somebody just to talk to, we're here.
Yes. Thank you, guys. We will let you know when the next time, because I think we want to bring some guests on, right? Is that what we were discussing, Mel?
Certainly. I would love to do that. And maybe eventually have a podcast.
There we go.
That's a possible consideration.
Yes. Everybody, we love you. Thank you. Spread the word. Share this live. Melody, I think you're one that's going to have to put it public. Reach out to either one of us. You can reach me in my messenger. Call me Ariyl, Autumn. I don't care. You reach out to Melody. We've got you. So everybody have a blessed day, and know we love you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.